Why hello human beings, how you doing today? My name's Sendo Q and welcome to my channel. Now today we're going to talk about RGT 85 and his bad take on the Steam Deck versus Nintendo Switch. Now, to me the Switch is not as powerful as the Steam Deck. We already know about that, but at the same time he's making it sound like it's a battle type of situation, even though he says it's not a battle, but he's feeding in the obvious reason why it's a battle, even though he's not knowing that part. But whatever, we're going to talk about the video. But before we start off, I want to say thank you to all my subscribers for subscribing to me. Really appreciate that. And remember, giveaway when I hit 1,000 subscribers. So if I earn your subscription, thank you very much. I hope I keep on growing. Now, with that being out the way, let's get into the video. Okay, everybody, I'm here talking about the truth about the Steam Deck versus Nintendo Switch. RGT 45, 85 is talking about the Steam Deck because apparently Nintendo fanboy. Now don't get me wrong, I used to be a Nintendo fanboy as well. I still own a Switch, but my mood went from being a fanboy to just liking technology, liking my PC, liking all of this stuff, and growing with it, learning all that stuff from building PCs and stuff. And I just think gaming on PC is a lot better than gaming on a console. That's my opinion, and you know, and that's my preference. But at the same time, I understand that the Switch is your preference. But at the same time, you say you're not feeding into the drama of Steam Deck versus Nintendo Switch, but yet in this video you are. But without me rambling, let's go ahead and watch the video and let's get into it. I hope I can make this video shorter than what I usually do.
So Valve recently made a big announcement when it comes to gaming hardware by introducing the Steam Deck, essentially a handheld PC with direct Steam capabilities. Because of the system being able to be utilized both in a handheld mode and even offering a dock to play on your television, many people have essentially started a war between the Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch as the next great hardware battle, with some websites and YouTubers going as far as to say that the Steam Deck will essentially be the Nintendo Switch killer. I briefly have talked about the Steam Deck before on the channel, but I feel like it's time to address some things with this alleged war that is brewing between these two systems, and it's time to find out if the Steam Deck truly is the Nintendo Switch killer or just something else entirely.
Okay, I let them talk a little bit further than I wanted to, but yes, a lot of people saying the Switch is, the Switch is not as strong as the Steam Deck, where the Steam Deck is a killer for the Switch. I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, I can understand where people could buy the Switch at the store and then take it home for their kids, or somebody is a big fan of Nintendo stuff and they just want the Switch as their main home console. I get all of that, but at the same time, you're making it sound like it's the battle. Key thing you use is calling the Steam Deck a console, which is not a console, it's a portable PC. And yes, it's portable. So for you to say it's a console is really difficult because it's a PC. It's a gaming PC, portable gaming PC. It's more portable than a laptop. So you got to stop saying gaming console. You got to say portable PC because it's not a gaming console. Yes, you could game on PC, but at the same time, you can also web browse. You can also edit. You can also do a whole bunch of stuff that you can't do on the console. So that's why, yes, we call it a PC. It's a console like, as far as just shape, yes, a portable console like it is. But at the same time, I'm not calling it a console. So you're feeding into the war. You say you're not, but apparently you are.
So we're going to compare a couple key points between these two systems and try to come to some sort of conclusion. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to like and share the video. But without any further ado, let's talk about this war that's brewing between the Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch and try to see if this is the Nintendo Switch killer or just something else entirely.
Number one, man, are you really a Knicks fan? Because I'm a Knicks fan. I don't know if you're a Knicks fan. I don't know you that well. Whatever. Number two, you're making it sound like it's a war because you can use certain words that you use in language to make it sound like a war. Yes, I feel like that you're feeding to the war of it. Me, I don't even talk about it. I'm just trying to debunk where people is getting stuff wrong, like I'm doing in this video. Because to me, if you could play Switch games on the Steam Deck, you could play all Nintendo games on the Steam Deck. To me, that's a killer. But I could understand where people is going to buy Switch games because it's right there, $300, $200 for the Switch Lite, or $350 for the Switch OLED. Which I'm going to be honest with you, if you own a regular Switch, there's no point in getting the OLED. It's the same resolution screen. OLED is not really that great. If you have a handheld and it's in your face, you're fine. But he's feeding to the war. He's not saying it, but he is. But let's continue.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is the design of both the Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch. And upon first glance at the Steam Deck, you can definitely see one thing. It's a handheld portable system that...
It's not a handheld portable system. It's a portable gaming PC. This is where you're feeding into the argument of being the Switch versus the Steam Deck. Steam Deck won, period, in my opinion. But at the same time, you're feeding to it. So you keep on saying portable of a gaming console, but it's a PC because you could do more than game on it. You could surf the web, you could edit, you could live stream, you could do so much stuff. Because a PC is a personal computer. The Steam Deck is a personal computer. It's running Linux.
definitely sort of resembles a Nintendo Switch.
I'm sorry I stopped right here, but you say it resembled a Nintendo Switch. Honestly, it resembled the Sega Game Gear, honestly. Because here's the thing, the Switch, it got Joy-Cons, so it goes slide it up and down on the sides. This don't have no Joy-Cons. So how can it be the Switch? Don't say Switch Lite. Excuse me, don't say Switch Lite because the Switch Lite is smaller and we already know where it come from. It's compared to the original Switch, and it's not, because Nintendo didn't make the handheld console. They don't have a what you call it? They don't have a patent on the handheld market, because you got PDAs. What about that? You didn't compare that to the Game Boy. You have cell phones. You didn't compare that to a Game Boy. You had matter of fact, if you want to keep it real, a Game Boy is comparable to one of those old school LEDs handheld systems, if you want to bring it like that. So no, it's not compared. It's just a handheld PC. Where do Nintendo hold the gauntlet of the handheld market? They don't. It's just a handheld PC, portable PC.
You, of course, have buttons, you have an analog stick, you have D-pads, you have touch pads for mouse support with this as well, and it definitely looks a lot like a Nintendo Switch.
No, it doesn't. Stop saying, this is where you're comparing it to the Switch and you're feeding to the argument. So the truth about the Steam Deck versus Nintendo Switch, you're making the argument, you're making the battle where there's no battle to have. If you didn't care about the battle, then why did you make this video? The video didn't have to exist, but it does because you think the battle is there. You just trying to, make a scapegoat where you say that, oh, I said it in this video. No, you didn't have to make the video. Now I'm making a video on you because you made this video and I disagree with you.
There's a screen on it, much like you have with the Nintendo Switch system, so the similarities are definitely there. On the Nintendo Switch side of things, you essentially have two different Nintendo Switch.
I'm sorry to say this, but I want to keep it real. I play my Nintendo Switch dock 100%. I used to play like handheld mode when I first got it. When my mom got it for me because I helped her move from Kentucky. She got me the Switch. Cool. All right. I played it handheld mode, but the form factor was so cramped because I got big, huge hands that I was like, I just might as well play it on TV mode, because to me that was the most comfortable way to play the Switch. And playing Splatoon on the TV is way better on a bigger screen technically, because now I use my monitor to play my Switch. As you can see during my live stream, I just play Splatoon, Cardfight Vanguard. I just play all that on the Switch on a display. I don't use handheld mode like that at all. Unless if I'm at the con and I don't have like a portable display, then yes.
Models. Yes, there is the OLED model as well, but the main difference with all of these systems is that the standard Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch Lite both have a 6.2 inch screen, whereas the OLED system has a 7-inch screen.
No, it doesn't. The Nintendo Switch Lite had a 5.5 inch screen. Nintendo Switch have the 6.2 inch screen. And the Nintendo Switch OLED is having a 7.0 screen. So there go your failure right there. I caught this time because you're wrong on the Switch Lite where it's a 5.5 inch screen
on it. And of course, with the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch OLED, you could attach the Joy-Cons to these, and with the Nintendo Switch Lite, you cannot do that. Now,
So if that's the case, then why are you comparing the Steam Deck to the Nintendo Switch? If that's the case, compared to the Nintendo Switch Lite, but since the Steam Deck is bigger than the Lite, it's more comparable to the original Switch, which is not comparable. Look at the hardware that the Steam Deck is having in there. That's a small amount of space that's so much technology that's going in a small amount of space. So AKA, it's a portable PC.
The design of both of these systems, but when it comes to the ergonomics of this system, I think the Steam Deck is a bit clunkier than the Nintendo Switch. Looking at the button layout for this system, which is very important because you kind of need buttons to play these games, I think the Nintendo Switch has a much friendlier button layout than the Steam Deck does.
I hate to ruin this for you, but wait until the end of the video. We're going to go ahead and expose what he just said right there. But before we go into it, the Switch does not have a friendlier layout, and this is what I mean. If you remember, the main selling point of the Switch is the hybrid way of portability and handheld. Is a hybrid system. That's what sold me on the Switch, and I thought that would be awesome. The second thing that sold me is you have two controllers in the box. The Joy-Con, you could turn it sideways and play the game. That right there, that's why they had the straight layout. So when you go somewhere and you try to play against other people, you could just slide the Joy-Cons off. It plays side by side. I did that before when I had Street Fighter on there, and I played with somebody when I was at Walmart waiting for my tires to get changed because I just went and got some new tires from Walmart. I know I could have went somewhere, but that's not either here or there. And I was playing against somebody in Street Fighter while I had my Nintendo Switch, and we had the two Joy-Cons. And that was another thing that sold me on the Switch. So the fact that they had it like that, if you play a handheld, your fingers will get fatigued because it's not a great layout. I'm looking at the Steam Deck right here in front of me, right here. And the layout is amazing. The analog sticks is up parallel with your thumbs. And you know what? If I can hit those buttons, which I can, I got the triggers on the back, the extra buttons. And don't let me get there. I want to link Linus Tech Tips down in the description about him using the Steam Deck. He don't have big hands, but guess what he said that he could access all the buttons. I want to link Linus Tech Tip in the description of this video, so hope you check it out.
There seems to be a large gap between both sides of the system when it comes to like the analog sticks and the buttons. Like they're literally in different area codes when it comes to situations like this. And the Steam Deck itself is actually longer in length than the Nintendo Switch or the Nintendo Switch Lite. So you're
a fanboy. And until the end of the video, I'm going to show you why you're a fanboy. Because you're defending Nintendo of this. If you say the console is long, fair enough. But I caught you at 4K. We're going to finish it.
Your hands are going to be much more separated than you would have on something like the Nintendo Switch. Now, do I think the Steam Deck will be unplayable in handheld mode or anything like that? No, I'm sure you could probably adjust to it and get a good core experience with it, but I think just from a pure design standpoint, the Nintendo Switch definitely looks like a friendlier system to hold in your hands than the Steam Deck does.
If that's a reason why, then how come we have grips? How come we got grips? You see all of this? All of this stuff is grips. Ooh, all of this stuff right here is grips. Grips for the Joy-Cons, grips for the Switch. Oh, that's a Switch Joy-Con that you slide on there so you can have better handles. I got this for my sister, the Ori Switch Lite for her Nintendo Switch. I didn't know they had this right here, the one that you sit on there so it could connect to the Switch. Oh, we got Switch for the Joy-Cons. We got a grip for two big companies that made the grips. Well, technically three. Three companies that made the grip, and they're popular. Skull & Co., Satisfied, and Orzi. Those are the three big companies. Orzi is more of a budget version of having it because they give you so much stuff at a cheap package, and that's $21.24. Give you a screen protector, give you a case, give you thumbsticks, a case so you could grab onto your Switch, give you game cases, give you two pens, give you earbuds, give you USB Type-C. They give you everything in that case, and guess what? It have grips. Second thing is the Satisfied Zen Grip. And the reason why this grip is popular, you see this? You see that little plastic side right there that says Satisfied? Compared to this stick out a little bit more. The reason why I stick out a little bit more because people could use the thumb stick like a regular Xbox controller. And my favorite, because I own it, is the Skull & Co. grip case. You see where, and I had this for the Switch Lite, but they sell it on the Switch. They was known to be on the Switch. You see these grips right here? They're interchangeable. And you know why they're interchangeable? Because everybody got different hand size. And don't let me talk about the Joy-Cons. Look at these Joy-Con grip. Everybody was talking about the little slither thing that they pack in the Joy-Con. Those got buttons on top of it so it can hit the things right there. And then you have grip on there. Look, don't shake. Got better grip so people can hold on to it. So you're telling me that it was friendlier to build, but yet people making stuff to buy it? The main thing that you have to get for a Switch is a grip because people understand that there's no grip on the Switch. But with the Steam Deck, you see this? You see all this right here? This is fine. This is a stick and everything. It got grips on the back and buttons. So if you can't reach the buttons, you could map those buttons to the back. And not only that, it comes with a grip. It's built grip on it. So, telling you the truth, this right here is more of a friendly way to hold the system. In my opinion. Maybe people like to play on the Switch and it's probably easier, but in my opinion, I think the Steam Deck is a lot easier.
The Steam Deck also has one major problem when compared to the Nintendo Switch, and that is the actual weight of the system. The weight of the system is about 1.5 pounds compared to the standard Nintendo Switch, which is about 0.6 pounds. So it's almost triple in weight of your standard Nintendo Switch. And some people say that the Nintendo Switch is kind of heavy after a while to hold it. Imagine holding something that is 3 times as much. Now, obviously,
if you get tired of holding the Switch or the Steam Deck, I don't care who it is, it's time to put the game up and relax. Because you can't tell me that you be gaming that long where your wrists get tired. You need to go ahead and say, oh, it's lighter so I can play more. Dude, just play. Just put the game up and rest for a bit. You don't have to turn it off. Just put it down, rest for a bit, relax, and then pick it up again after you're done resting.
Obviously 1.5 pounds isn't really all that much, but after a long gameplay session of holding this thing, I could definitely see it being a bit cumbersome. And
I wouldn't keep it real, people. I'm telling you how I will see. if I play the Switch handheld mode and my hands get tired and I want to keep on playing, I'll put it in the dock and I'll just pick up a controller. If I get tired of using the Steam Deck, since it's connected to my Steam, I'm just going to put the system down and I'll just go to my computer and I'm just going to play Steam games. But at that point, if you get tired of playing the game or your wrist is getting tired, then turn the system off or put it down and rest for about 35 to an hour.
When you sort of tie in the fact that this analog sticks and the buttons themselves are so spread out on this system, it really could.
Where is it spread out? I'm looking at this thing. Where's the buttons spread out? Where? They look like they're just fine. They're not spread out. They're not spread out. Telling you the truth, with the Switch, if I could find a controller, I'm not bringing out my Joy-Con. It's kind of set. The buttons are sitting underneath here. This is a what's called a third party controller. I got buttons on the back. The buttons is sitting under here, and these buttons is sitting over here. So if I gotta reach the buttons like this, I gotta go straight down. It's not at an angle. If I gotta hit these buttons, I gotta go straight down to hold on to the analog. So imagine me going like this, and I had to go back. It's not comfortable, dude. And these got buttons on the back, like the Steam Deck.
Lead to some sort of fatigue when playing this in handheld mode. So from a design standpoint, a purely aesthetic standpoint, and a sort of ergonomic standpoint, I do think the Nintendo Switch is the better system to play in handheld mode, but I don't necessarily think that the Steam Deck is bad.
I can't wait to prove you wrong. I really can't wait to prove you wrong. You're gonna take the shit on that.
It's just lacking in a few key areas. The next thing we're going to talk about are the specs of these systems, the Steam Deck and the Nintendo Switch, and let's be realistic here, there isn't a whole lot to talk about. Even if you are a diehard Nintendo fan with Nintendo tatted on your chest, you cannot deny that the Steam Deck has better specs for running games than the Nintendo Switch does. It's really not an argument with this because of the fact that, hey, when it comes to raw power, this is much more like a PlayStation 4, that being the Steam Deck, rather than the Nintendo Switch being sort of in between like a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4. Of course, this really translates into the games as well that you will be able to see running on the Steam Deck, as Valve has said that
While we're talking about games, I thought we were just talking about specs. You just mess with a dude that loves specs. Dude, you just say, let's talk about specs. And you said the Steam Decks have better specs. But you're backing up Nintendo by talking about games? Now we're talking about specs. It's obvious the Steam Deck is way powerful than the Switch. Conversation over. Specs, the Steam Deck got it. So I don't understand why you're continuing with this thing. You're shilling for you're a console peasant for Nintendo. Because you just say specs, and yet the Steam Deck is better spec. That should have been end of the conversation. But you're adding more to the Nintendo side. Specs Steam Deck 1.
game that runs on Steam will run on the Steam Deck, whereas when the Nintendo Switch is concerned, I mean, hell, there are first-party titles such as Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity that struggle to run in certain points of the game. So from a purely spec standpoint, I think that the Steam Deck is obviously much stronger than the Nintendo Switch, and obviously will offer a better experience with certain games than the Nintendo Switch will ever be able to offer. Now,
you realize the Steam Deck could play Switch games too.
one thing that they do have in common is the fact that both of the screens are 7 inches if we're talking about the Switch OLED model, with a 1280 by 800 LCD native at 720p on the Steam Deck, And of course, the Nintendo Switch is a 7-inch OLED screen at 720p. So I will be interested to see how the screen on the Steam Deck looks compared to the Nintendo Switch OLED model when playing it in handheld mode. But when you look at docked mode, of course, the docked mode can do up to 8K at 60 hertz or 4K at 120 hertz on the Steam Deck. And the Nintendo Switch really doesn't offer anything like that, just up to 1080p at 60 frames per second at a maximum. So from a purely spec standpoint, of course, the Steam Deck is more impressive than the Nintendo Switch, but there is one spec that you have to consider when talking about the Steam Deck that I think the Nintendo Switch does better, and that would have to be battery life.
What the freaks you just talking about? You just say the Steam Deck won, but you're putting it towards Nintendo because of the battery life? Why? You realize this is a gaming PC?
When you look at the current Nintendo Switch model or the Nintendo Switch OLED model, you're getting about 4 to 9 hours in handheld mode, depending on what sort of game you're playing and what sort of screen brightness you're using. Whereas with the Steam Deck, we're talking about 2 to 4 hours in handheld mode with the
2 to 4 hours? It said 2 to 8. No, it is. It's 2 to 8 hours long. You're giving Nintendo too much pride. And also, did you consider about turning down the light brightness? Do you think about bringing the graphics down too low? Because that's all taken consideration.
this system. So it's not quite as portable as a lot of people are making it out to be. Obviously 2 hours is a very long time, and that's going to be on the more taxing games, but I will be curious to see how that actually translates to real world stuff.
You realize I bought a power bank for the Switch as well? If you're playing that long and you need to recharge your battery, then you need to stop playing the game and put it down and recharge it. To me, if you're playing games that long, bring a battery bank and do it. But other than that, I'm going to put down the system because I'm not playing the game consistently like that. I'm not playing the system consistently like that. I probably play like 30 minutes here, put it down, pick it up, play another hour, so on and so forth. So I'm not consistently playing the game consistently. I'm going to set it down and I'm going to replay it again later. So the fact that you're giving the Switch this much praise because of the battery life, you realize people bring battery packs for the Switch. So it doesn't matter because you bring the battery pack. Same thing with the Steam Deck. It's a portable PC because it does more than it does more than gaming.
You know, is that with the screen brightness all the way down or with the screen brightness all the way up? And will more taxing games as they come out actually drain the battery faster on the Steam Deck? So pretty much the Steam Deck wins in every sort of category when it comes to specs, except for the battery life.
And right there, you're showing your bias for your Nintendo system. You just said the Steam Deck's in spec beat everything that the Nintendo Switch could do. But you want to add battery life in it. You just add more to this argument that you said is not going, that you're not going to defend. You're being a hypocrite.
Really, when we're talking about a handheld system, I do think that is an important thing. Of course, what drives hardware sales, though, is essentially games. And when we're talking about the Steam Deck, I mean, it has an impressive library of games. Of course, you can run, like I said, all of the games available on Steam on your Steam Deck, which means smaller indie projects, retro gaming titles, games like Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, all of these hit blockbuster third-party titles that never released on the Nintendo Switch. And, you know, there are people that want Grand Theft Auto on the Nintendo Switch. I am one of those people, but for whatever reason, we have not seen that game on the Nintendo Switch. So the Steam library is constantly going to be getting better as well.
So here's the thing. The Steam Deck is a portable PC. It doesn't play just Steam games. You could play Xbox games. You could play games from from GOG. You could play games from Battle.net. You could play games from Epic Games. You got so many launchers. Not only that, you don't even have to run Linux. You can run Windows. I think somebody out there could put Mac OS on there. It's a personal computer. but you're looking at this as a gaming console, which is not. It's a portable system. I mean, not portable system. It's a portable PC that you can play games on. It's a portable gaming PC. It's a PC, and not only that, you expect you're thinking Steam going to get better just because it's a portable PC, and you're thinking of it as a console. No, the game's going to get better because the PC is objectively the best system to play games. So if the game is going to be coming out on the Steam Deck, meaning it's already out on the PC, it doesn't going to get better because the PC is already better. And that's the part you don't understand. You're making this as a battle, which I didn't even make a video about this. I'm just making videos about people who is wrong in this situation. You're adding more into the argument than I am. This is where you're failing, dude.
Well, as third-party companies put out their latest titles on this system, you can play.
Quit calling this system. Quit calling this system. It's a PC. And people is not making the game for the Steam Deck alone. They're making the games for PC. There's no PC2. There's no PC3. There's no PC4. There's no PC5. It's PC. It doesn't play. It play games way back when the games first came out. Tennis, I think, was the first one. It could, dude, it's a PC. And when I say tennis, I'm talking about one back in the day when they played it on the radar. It's a PC. There's no backwards compatibility because all the games we play is already made for PC. We just have to download it and play it.
Play Resident Evil 8 on your Steam Deck. You can't play it on your Nintendo Switch because it's not available.
The reason why it's not available because the hardware is not compatible.
So I think that's a big area that people will be interested in when it comes to the Steam Deck. But of course, on the other side of the coin, you have the Nintendo Switch exclusive games. And I've always said that I feel like people buy Nintendo products because of these exclusive games. Games like Mario, games like Zelda. You can't play these games on other platforms. Well, legally, I guess we should say.
You know the reason why people play games like off of emulators and stuff? Because there's games that could be emulated. It's called keeping the games as much as possible because the games are better on the PC. Not only just graphics and frame rates and all that stuff, but we could preserve it a lot better. Even though hardware is out, at hard disks out there and hard cartridges, the stuff is going to break down and you cannot bring it back up because the technology is so old. They're not going to make those parts again. Yes, you got people making retro gaming and stuff, but how long that going to last if everything going to go to PC? We're going to have this stuff backed up on the PC. So, yeah, I think games coming to PC will be amazing. It won't kill the console. It's just we want to preserve the great artists and the great gamers programmers that made the games that we enjoy. You're thinking it as a illegal thing, but we looking at it as we want these games to last forever. So our kids could play, and their kids and kids, and their kids and kids. They can't play it if they have the first PlayStation 1 and they can't fix it, or the first Super Nintendo and they can't fix it because they're not getting remake.
So that was what makes the Nintendo Switch very attractive to certain people because of the fact that it has these library of games that people are familiar with, these IPs and franchises that you can only get on a Nintendo system, whereas the Steam Deck is essentially a third-party system. There's not going to be games designed exclusively for the Steam Deck.
Because the Steam Deck is a portable PC. There are exclusives to it because the PC is not just a console, it's a PC, personal computer. How do you not get that?
Everything that runs on the Steam Deck will of course also run on your PC. So I sort of feel like this is just really a preference thing for people. If you like Nintendo games, obviously you buy a Nintendo console. If you don't care about Nintendo games, then you would probably lean more towards the Steam Deck. So I want to say
this. If you're a kid and your parents get you a Steam Deck, not Steam Deck, but a Nintendo Switch, and you want to play all the games on the dedicated console, then the Switch is for you. But you can play those games on PC. So if you can play those games on PC, you still want a big library of Steam exclusive, or PC exclusive, and third party that runs better, then Steam Deck is yours.
This is kind of a tie between these two systems because games are very, very subjective. And the final key point I want to bring up is the reason why, well, I truly feel that this is not a war. This is not a battle. The Steam Deck is...
You're making it sound like a war, dude, because all the arguments that you said was more on Nintendo favor, even the hardware, because you say, oh, the Steam Deck is great except on battery life, where Nintendo got amazing battery life. So you made the part of the war. Me, I didn't say nothing about it. I was happy that the Steam Deck came out, but you said it. I'm just having a criticism about it.
Isn't going to be the Nintendo Switch killer or anything like that, and that is availability of these systems. Looking at the Nintendo Switch, it has sold over 90 million units worldwide. So how do you really kill something that's sold over 90 million units already? I don't really think you can.
Two things. Number one, never say never, because the Steam Deck could kill the Switch. You don't know. Don't give it absolute. And number two, the only way that the Switch could get killed if Nintendo kill it itself. And if Nintendo came out with another console, it is not backwards compatible with the Switch, they pretty much just killed the Switch. So it's a possibility. Never say never. It's a possibility.
I think it's just sort of a different comparison. When you look at software sales for the Nintendo Switch, games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, games like Animal Crossing, these games have sold over 30 million copies already. So how are you going to essentially kill those games? I mean, you're not. When it comes to the Steam,
it could happen. Don't say not. It could happen.
Deck, one of the main things is this is a Valve product, and Valve has already come out and said that this is not going to be something that's going to be a huge launch or anything like that. Valve started taking pre-orders for this system, and
it's not a pre-order, it's a reservation. And here's the thing I hate about pre-orders, because the companies that do pre-orders, they don't care about the consumer. They just want to make as much money as possible. What Valve did is you register for a spot in line. So they could make the PC so they could give it to the people who is in line next. So to me, I think that's way better. Them thinking about their customer. Did you get your white Nintendo Switch OLED yet? Nah, I heard you got the red and blue neon colors. You see how a reserve could happen? Because you have your spot in line, you paid your money, and they send it to you. Are you going to get it the same day? No. But at the same time, you'll have it. That actually reserving a copy mean that will stop scalpers and stuff. And Valve just show what they could do if they reserve it. So to me, I think reserving is better than pre-order.
And the rumor is that about 100,000 sold with the initial pre-orders. Now, the initial launch date of the Valve Steam Deck is scheduled for December of 2021. But the thing is, all because you pre-ordered your system, whether it be one of the 3 models, doesn't necessarily mean you're getting it in December of 2021, as some of these systems are already going to be not shipping until Q3 of 2022. So over a year and a half since you've pre-ordered.
You're telling the people had to wait, who is PC gamers, had to wait for the PC. That's fine. We could wait. It's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world. Gaming is not the full on be all. But yeah, whatever.
Ordered this system will be when you'll be able to get your Valve Steam Deck. You see, that's the whole main thing here. The Valve Steam Deck isn't going for the Nintendo Switch killer thing because it's not going to be something that's mass produced, at least right out of the gate. It's something that's going to be controlled by Valve, like a lot of their products are. You can walk into a GameStop or a Walmart and pick up a Nintendo Switch. You can't really do that with the Valve.
Did you got your white Switch OLED? No. Oh, there was no reserve copy? No. That's what I'm saying. Pre-orders are bad. Reserve copies are amazing.
Steam Deck, as all of the sales are being controlled through Valve themselves. If you say that a system sold 100,000 in its first year on the market, I don't think people would be very impressed with that. They would probably be, well, completely the opposite. And
If you put out a whole bunch of mass consoles, yes, or mass PCs, yes, that's not impressive. But for Valve to do that reserve copy and they sold their PC on their thing, it shut down the whole entire website. That is very impressive. Even though it's 10,000, that's still impressive. So yeah, the Steam Deck is going to be an amazing PC.
concerned about this system if it's supposed to be a huge system. Imagine if the PlayStation 5 only sold 100,000 units in its first year on the market. People would be saying it's an absolute failure.
You're thinking like big stores compared to their store. It's like how Apple doing it. Apple sell their stuff in the Apple store. They have people line up. Is when a company come out with that like Apple, they gonna sell the most because they're very what you call it, their technology is off the chain, less security and stuff like that. Yes, they have control, but you got PlayStation, Xbox selling their stuff in stores, even Nintendo, and everybody just picking it up, scalping it and everything. While Valve, they doing reserve copies, so they stop scalpers. So yeah,
And that's what really is the main thing with the Nintendo Switch versus Steam Deck argument. There's segments for different people. The Steam Deck is essentially for people who have a large Steam library, who play a lot of PC games, and want something to play on the go, whereas
am I the only person that would like to think about the technology in the systems? I want to know how the system works.
the Nintendo Switch is a video game console, but it also does a good job of bringing in people that maybe don't play video games. A game like Animal Crossing will bring in a whole different user base than something that the Steam Deck can really offer.
How you gonna disrespect the people who play Smash Brothers and stuff? That hardcore player base. How you gonna disrespect them like that?
And since there are going to be no exclusives for the Steam Deck, it's not like companies are going to be promoting their game as available on the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and the Steam Deck. No, they're going to say PC or Steam in general. I think the Steam Deck is an excellent piece of
Now I'm gonna say Steam Deck. Hey, I got the Steam Deck. I got the Steam Deck.
technology. I definitely want to get my hands on one. I missed out on the initial pre-orders.
It's not a pre-order. You could go ahead and reserve your copy still. There's no wait. Reserve your copy.
And I think it's going to be a really cool complementary system. But there is no war between these two systems. There is no sort of battle.
If there's no war, then why you made this video?
The Steam Deck isn't going to kill the Nintendo Switch because the Steam Deck is obviously being designed as a niche product. It's not something that's going to be mass produced and take over the marketplace. And really, you can't kill something that's already sold over 90 million units.
You said camp. Don't do that, because if they end up selling more than the Switch, you're the one that said it.
So those are my thoughts on the Steam Deck versus the Nintendo Switch war that a lot of journalists and YouTubers are essentially drumming up. I don't think
And you're one of them.
it's an issue. I don't think it's a thing that exists. I think Steam is doing its own thing and Nintendo is doing its own thing, much like they always have done. But let me know in the comments section down below what you think. Am I completely wrong with this? Is the Steam Deck
Yes, you're completely wrong about this.
the Nintendo Switch killer? Is Nintendo closing up shop and put
Give me 1 second. I know he's done with the video, but I want to show you something real quick. Go to his channel. Pause that. And hey, everybody. Look at the stuff right here where it say Metroid Dredge. He got a controller on the Switch, and it's bigger. Why? Because he got the Hori gamepad on there. Remember he say the Steam Deck's so big? Well, he just got the Hori controller on there.
This is the clearest video I've ever seen. This is the most HD shit ever. This is 4K. How did they get you in 4K?
Where's your Joy-Cons? That's on the Switch. That's all I have to say. Let me make myself bigger. That was a bad video. And you using the Hori Joy-Cons because the Switch Joy-Con is not working for you. Tell me if I'm wrong. But this video is bad. I hope you enjoy it. If you like it, let me know. Give me criticism. I love the criticism. And, you know, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. This, you know, got a giveaway. And remember, everybody's human. My name's Sendo Q, and you have yourself a great day. Bye.